It's Christmas, and Christmas, of course, is the season for giving, sharing, and caring. And today we're joined by someone who is trying and doing all that she can alongside all the volunteers to create a world that is inclusive for the underprivileged. She is the seventh-in-chief of the Antlander Bethel Foundation and the founder of the Antlander Market Square, where basically the only free market square in the world for the underprivileged, where they shop for free. Today we are joined by Dr. Yolanda George David. It's a pleasure to have you. It's great to have you here.
Hi,
Thank
my
you so much.
darling. And Olive is one of our ambassadors that has been working with us over the years, and we're grateful. So it's a pleasure to be here too.
It's good to have you. Now let's talk about the work that you're doing. And I think that it's important that we talk about this season. Christmas is a season for giving and for sharing, but beyond Christmas, there's so much work that needs to be done over the course of the years. Let's talk about Nigeria, using Nigeria as a case study. How well would you say the country has fared for its underprivileged?
Throughout the year, let's say post-pandemic, it has been very horrific for even the middle class. So now imagine the less privileged. And when we say less privileged, we had to expand our definition of less privileged, because formerly people who were earning 20, 30,000 actually thought they weren't indigent people. But right now, most of the slums and what they call the Paco houses now go as much as 2,000 naira a night. So in places where you need to pay 2,000 naira a night, you don't have drinking water. We just had a case where we rescued a child who broke her two hands. She was washing plates, 7-year-old, and fell into the canal. This year she has fallen into that canal 3 times because the house is on top of the canal. And everybody is looking at the people that make it to the news. So if this community gets to the news, then everybody flocks there. But there are clusters of different people that are struggling. And if you think it's been hard for you with all of the money you're making, then now imagine how difficult it is for someone we're calling less privileged, but the truth is, the indigent, they are truly suffering. And I wish that we had more programs that could empower them, because I need to let you know that people are not lazy. It's not a laziness thing. It's just that we see a lot of news about programs that are supposed to empower these people, but you have to know somebody to get to it. So the woman who is a widow that doesn't know anybody, even if she applies, will she get? Then they are dealing with the loan sharks who give them money because they cannot access loans from microfinance bank and all of that. So a lot of allocations are being made for SMEs, but those SMEs are not the woman who sells sleepers or the one who sells ugu or vegetable. So there's a lot of talk about helping, but the people that need to be helped need to be assessed. And for them to be assessed, someone has to go to places where you need to take a boat, you need to walk, you need to go across. And that is the problem. Going into those places, I also would not take you to the place. For example, I've been doing this since 2012. And 3 weeks ago, we did a rescue in a community, and my husband had to go with me. For the first time doing a rescue, I was very terrified, because every time I go, I'm ready to be injured, I'm ready to be stabbed, the hoodlums and all. We're going to rescue children from a woman who said because the children were dead, so the children's mother was dead, so the father abandoned the children with his sister, and she says the girl steals, so she put a spoon on fire and then burnt the tongue of the child. She does all of these horrific things, and she's a very, 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 those big Bible carrying people. So police around and everybody was saying she would not come easy. So going in there to arrest, we went there. From the point we entered, I then realized the risks I've been taking, because I never worried for myself. But the moment I turned back, I was you know, all those little wood, the wood they put across the water. I was trying to make my way. I turned back. I saw my king behind, surrounded with like 11 hoodlums. I was dealing with my own people because when they come, I'm ready. Sometimes you hit me, I hit you, we push through. But seeing him in that state, it made me realize that even my staffers that go with me have been taking a whole lot of risks.
Why don't you maybe involve the authorities? And
We go with police officers, because when we get a case like this, you raise a petition and you have the police officers come with you. But sometimes for you to do your social investigation to show proof that the authorities need to come, you need to enter these places to take these videos and all of that. So all I had to do was now to walk back and to explain to them. I showed them the picture of the burnt tongue, and guess what? Those 11 hoodlums that surrounded my king that were taxing Moga, you will give us your show, you will give us this. Now say, we didn't mention the woman's name, but the moment they saw the tongue, they say, we have somebody in our community too. She's very wicked to somebody else. They took me to the same woman's house. So the guys who we are scared of, the hoodlums, most times end up being the ones helping me to do the rescues after you have a discussion with them and you explain to them what you're doing. At the end of the day, most of them are just trying to survive.
Oh, wow. There's so many, stories that I'm sure that you've experienced in the past 10 years that you've been doing this. Yes. I'd like you to talk to us about, how this has impacted, some of the rescues, some of the most interesting rescues you've done, and how you say they've impacted the lives of those you've rescued. I know you rescue children. I don't know if you rescue women as well.
Yes.
So share with us some of the most impactful rescues that you would say have happened over the past 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe one or two.
Yeah. The truth is, every rescue has been breathtaking, but some that made me realize, and I'm grateful that I always say, if I die today, I'm grateful I did this with my life, is the first one. That's Daniel takes precedence. Daniel is the boy. That story went viral. That was bought by his madam for 15,000 naira, and she beats him with the pistol. That's the pistol with the Tungari thing, and for 3 months he was feeding from the maggot-laced bucket. So at the time that we rescued Daniel was so ill. He had a lot of broken bones, and this woman, she had a big boutique. So when we got the call, everybody was saying, you can't go to this woman's house because this woman is so important and affluent and all of that, so they wouldn't let you go. And when we went in, she told us the boy had left. We pulled out Daniel from that place with all of the broken bones and all of that. We thought all he had, he couldn't sit in the car, by the way. He was so injured, he couldn't sit, he couldn't lie. So it was horrible to move him. Then we found out that he had an enlarged liver because he had been eaten. He's not permitted to sleep in the house. He sleeps on the balcony. He wasn't permitted to, he fetches water under the rain, and then he doesn't use the toilet, so he uses the feces by the same maggot list. And because neighbors were scared of the woman, they have to put his food inside that dustbin. They have to put the food inside that dustbin so that he could eat. Now, Daniel is doing well. We tracked his father down, and we found out that Daniel was stolen by a sister-in-law all the way in Jos. The father had searched for them, and by the time the police arrested the abuser, and then we moved to getting the father in, the father said he was too broke, no money. We had to transport him. When he came, he started crying, begging that we should foster him too. We should bring him into the program. But we spoke to that chief, and we found out that trafficker that we had arrested with Daniel's rescue had actually stolen 3 other children from that village. And so that is one case that I am super grateful for. Another one comes with domestic violence, and it's a case where the woman called at 2 a.m. and she called and said she just wanted to talk to me. And everybody was saying, it's too late, that's on the rescue team. But she said, I'm going to die. And then they heard in the background, the husband said, before Atlanta gets here, I'm going to kill you. So I started making calls. It was impossible to reach out to anybody. We got into the vehicle. We went there. This woman was heavily pregnant. She had 2 children. The husband had beaten her blue black. And we got there around 4 o'clock. Thanks to our partnership with Gender and Anti-Human Trafficking Unit, State CID Panti, they were able to call ahead. The DPO gave us officers. By the time we got there, we broke down the door, sought the woman. But this woman was beaten, she was injured, and she went through. When she came, she was scared because she said she didn't have a skill. So 2 days later, she called me and said, she has to go home. It's like she had made a mistake. I tried to encourage her. Long story short, after four years later, she now runs a business, sells this popular popcorn you see in the traffic, and she's doing great.
Amazing.
So we have all of these cases, and
it's interesting to see all this work that you're doing and the fact that you're doing this for free,
yes.
And you're getting lots of people need help.
Yes.
Inflation is on the rise. We're talking about how Uganda is experiencing a gloomy Christmas, but it's not just Uganda, it's other parts of, Africa. So how can individuals do their bits in ensuring that we can drive home this message of creating an inclusive country and an inclusive continent for the underprivileged? How can they, be a part, and what are you doing? Should we expect more from you? How else can we be a part of exploring this?
Okay, of all our programs we do, the one that is closest to my heart is the Atlanta Free Market Square. It's a free market square because what I did was I went into the market, we gather everything that you see in the market. We created the Atlanta currency, and with the Atlanta currency, you come in and you shop for free. So I realized that if I give rice to somebody who someone else has gifted rice to and they needed pepper or tomato, I will feel good that I did something good this Christmas, but I have just given rice to a widow who has rice and has no money for pepper and tomato. But when they come into the Atlanta Free Market Square, they get to buy what they need. Of all of the work we do, empowering people, very important. In the past 10 years, we've been able to set up businesses for over 9,000 people. We have the Atlanta Free Interest Loan, that is the interest-free loan, where after we train them for free at the Atlanta Free Tertiary Academy with the skill, we give them, you start from 30,000, you pay back 30,000 in 6 months, 5,000, and then you go all the way to 250,000, because whatever food we share at this year's Market Square on Saturday, it's going to finish.
Yes.
But once we empower them, and that's why we're training people this Saturday too. So we've made our 6 months training into a 1-day masterclass. You come in and in 8 hours, you learn a skill. You can make liquid soap, you can make shoes, you can make bags, and you can start your business the next day.
Dr. Yolanda and George David, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the best with Atlanta Bethel Foundation. Continue to impact lives, and we hope that more people will be inspired to also be a part of the journey, because it takes one to reach one, and if each one can reach one, we can get to the rest of the world.